Good evening, guys, and welcome to Are You Brave Enough? I'm Ames, your host for tonight. And tonight, Andy is doing an investigation at a secret location. But we don't want to know where he is. We want to know about the spirits and what you can tell us about them. Could you please share and bump up those likes and hearts? And don't forget to join Trudy on Trudy Psychic Tarot Kent after the show. So, right, let's get on with it and let's get them all on. Right.
Hey, good
evening. How are you both?
Very well. Yourself?
Yeah, good, thank you. Very well, thank you.
Good. Hey, Danny.
Good evening.
How are you, Dan?
I'm really good, thank you. I'm also coming to you from a secret location.
Ooh.
I haven't got my usual background.
No, you haven't. Or your usual music?
Or my usual music. No, I've got none of it.
Wow. So, Andy, what can you tell us about the location?
Well, what I decided to do tonight, a little bit different for this, like our normal Sunday Night Live, was I was reading a book midweek about haunted places, like I do from time to time, like doing some research and everything like that. And I was reading a story about a particular ghost sighting. And then through my letterbox popped a flyer advertising a kind of event. And I thought that this would be a great time to try and see if we can chase this spirit at this location. The flyer that come through is very, very related to what this ghost sighting or story is of where I am. So I'll be really amazed if you guys can pick it up and see what we can get from this. So it's pretty interesting, to be honest with you. I was pretty amazed myself that I was reading this book and this flyer popped through my letterbox. So it had to be done. It was meant to be, yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely. So I am in the middle of a particularly haunted place, though. There are lots and lots of ghost sightings where I am. And I'm going to try and do a little bit of a walk around of this village as well. And I'm going to, halfway through, when you guys are trying to get stuff verified, I'm going to nip in the car to try and get to another part of the village, which is a couple of minutes up the road by car, to try and do the second half of the show from there if I can. So
brilliant.
Yeah. So I'm going to go and stand in the exact place where the sighting and the photograph this spirit was done, and I'll be interested to see what you guys pick up from this, really.
Okay.
I've got a K2 on, which is absolutely going crazy at this moment in time. So
absolutely.
That's a good start.
So if anyone's picking anything up, please put it in the chat and I'll give it a shout out and we'll see what we can get.
And you put already, let's just kick it off, why not?
Who's that?
Ant put,
Ant.
I feel 1897 was a significant year.
Okay.
There is a location not too far from where Andy is, where that would be a very significant year.
But also, if you looked on the thing behind Andy, it said 1897 as well. So I think he was cheating there.
I didn't even see that.
Did you not? That's why he's got the laughing faces.
That is validation that I'm a good historian, because clearly I was able to validate that without seeing what was behind Andy.
Absolutely.
Impressive. I'm gonna show you the window where the picture was taken from. So what happened was someone took a picture, and try not to give it away too much. So this window behind me, actually, I've got to
yes,
extending the road, is where this picture was taken. So be interesting to see what you guys pick up.
Denise has put bombings and old style horses and carts.
That's interesting, yeah.
Yeah. Ant says, can't deny, I did see the date on the arch thing. So well, I knew he did, bloody cheat.
At least he's honest.
At least he's honest.
So what are we picking up?
Dee says bombings and old style horse and cart. And that's it at the moment. So
that's interesting. That's really interesting, Dee. Well done.
The horse and cart is interesting.
Yeah, it really, really is.
I haven't got a clue where you are, so it's not. And somebody thinks you're in Pluckley as well. So,
No, I'm not in Pluckley. I'm not in Pluckley, but the horse thing is really, really interesting considering where I'm standing. If I was to turn around the other way, it would really give it away, to be honest with you. But
absolutely.
the horse thing is really, really good.
Diane says, Ollie is saying there's a demonic child. It's playing hide and seek with you, Andy.
Nice.
Okay. I mean, the K2 meter is going crazy. It is going absolutely berserk at this moment in time. I'm holding it away from the phone, and it's really going crazy.
Ant says, I feel proper old marketplace. And Kay says, I get Jacob and a Farrier connection. Dee's also mentioned acting dress up. And Fern has said Borley.
No, I'm not a Borley.
No. And Isabella says, hello everyone. Are you near a cemetery or church?
I'm not far away from either of those things, and that's what I'm going to be doing in the second half of the show, actually.
Okay.
There's another really good story attached to that.
Okay. And Julie says, getting the name Stanley.
Okay, yeah, interesting.
Jill says, I feel there is a gentleman standing around Andy and seems really interested in what Andy is doing.
I think I've gathered quite a fan club in the pub across the road, because there's a few people watching what I'm doing, standing here with a K2 meter.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Diane's mentioned it's a race course.
Don't know about that one, actually. Not sure about that.
I think so.
Chloe said being shown a maypole for some reason.
Yeah, that could make sense, I guess, for where I am.
So
It's just really, really interesting to see if anyone's getting a particular spirit where I am, or what this spirit is.
Jill says the man wears a leather apron. Not sure if he's a blacksmith.
I think that's really relevant for where I am, but just over there where I'm going to visit in a minute, actually.
Okay. And Diane's mentioned the name Nathaniel.
The what?
Nathaniel. The name Nathaniel.
Okay.
Oh, apparently Ollie's picking that up. Sorry, the Nathaniel bit. And Isabella says, what about a cottage?
Yeah, there's quite a few of those around here. Quite aged ones as well. So it's good.
And Ricky's mentioned the name Chris has popped into their head.
That's interesting. Really interesting.
Ant's just said, just picked up on Agatha, connections to witchcraft.
I think that's quite relevant for here, actually.
What, even the name Agatha?
I'm not sure about the name Agatha. That's one for Danny.
Okay, Danny, down to you.
Searching.
Jill's mentioned, got the name Gosport, not sure if it's a town or name.
It's not where we are town-wise.
Karen's mentioned she's sensing fire.
Okay.
And Dee says these horse and carts would be used for literally anything. These would have been seen going about their business. Name of Blakey and Martha.
Okay. Danny, another one for you, buddy.
Yeah. And Kay mentions Farrier Blacksmith is what I was picking up on.
I think that's very good, actually.
Yeah. Diane says both the girls are saying stream, lake or brook, plus witch's cauldron has been shouted out. Chloe has mentioned, is there a monk connection?
I think that's not too far away, actually.
Yeah. And Laura says, I'm picking up on a white horse.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
Very
And
good, Chloe.
Jill says, now getting what looks like monks, but links with devil worshippers.
I'm not seeing anything where you are right there. I mean, there's a few connections close by, as we know. But yeah, there's some good stuff coming out, isn't there?
There is.
There's the white horse. So well done.
Ah, well done. Sarah says, were there horses and carts used for funerals? We're getting loads now.
Yeah, great.
And were the festivals carried out there? That's Isabella. And Dee says, keep getting Warhorse, going back to Warhorse. And Kay John says, yes, a monk or a tomb.
Oh, that's interesting. A tomb.
Oh, tomb is very interesting.
Okay. Fern says, some sort of cult ceremonies taken place there.
Okay, that's interesting.
And Ant says, is there an underground passage or a small cave nearby?
There well could be, to be honest with you. I have heard a story of that here.
Yeah.
I'm going to start walking across to one of the other haunted places here. So as you can probably see, it's bucketing down. So apologies if the rain is making a noise on the brolly. Sorry.
That's all right. It's not a problem.
We'll let you off as long as you keep yourself dry.
I thought you were going to say take the brolly down.
No. I'm not that out of order.
No. Judy says, getting the word bedecked, whatever that means.
I don't know what that means.
I'm sad that no one's got what that spirit is over there yet. It might come in a bit.
Hopefully. Laura says, there's something creepy about the area. Very creepy vibes.
Very creepy.
Yeah.
What are you getting, Laura?
Right. Just waiting
She's
for
done
some more
well so
comments
far.
to come. Yeah. Very well.
So I'm
Right.
there.
It's all right. And Diane has said that White Horse, George, the most known ghost in Dover.
I'm not in Dover. I'm not in Dover, but as you've seen, the White Horse is significant there, and that's a very haunted pub. That one.
By the way, George as a name is relevant for your location as well, Andy.
Is it?
That's good.
Okay. Yeah, that's really good. Well done, Di.
Right, we've got Samuel, the name, and Isabella says, I'm getting an animal, spooky beast. Look at that smile on Daddy's face.
I smile because the animal bit is a really interesting point that you get there. So love to hear what else you're getting around that, Isabella.
Yeah, Judy says 1846.
Okay.
Oh, we're starting to get some there. Ant says someone was used as a sacrifice. And Vicky mentions, I know where you are and the story, but only because I recognise the pub, so I won't say.
You're probably in it. You're probably in the pub.
Yeah. And Jill says, getting a night that goes back in time.
Right, I'm now at one of the other haunted buildings here, or one of the other haunted stories. So I'm just going to give you a quick little show round.
Okay. Laura says, there's something that scares children, I feel.
That's me. That's.
I'm just smiling. I'm just a happy person.
My kids haven't come home for the last 15 years.
Oh, God. Denise is getting Anne and Richard.
Does that mean anything, Danny?
I'm just having a look now.
It's a strange old energy by this building.
Yeah. Diane says Edinburgh, then a ship sank.
Ooh.
Tell
And
us
then
more.
she's just got St James's Church.
Okay, that's interesting.
Right. And Sarah says, I sense a female spirit, 1800s. And Diane says again, Old said that the demonic child is feral. And Kay mentions a bear.
Oh, that's good. I think that is good. I
Interesting,
think.
Kay.
Yeah, that's really good.
She's on it.
Very good.
Yeah.
Right. Diane says 1818, as in the year.
I'm not sure what year.
And Ant says, potential werewolf sightings. I feel a man turned in the area.
I know I haven't shaved.
Laura says, was it a white face in the window you mentioned?
Yeah, that's pretty good actually. Danny, would you concur?
Yeah, I'd say that's it's a pretty good show.
Oh my good God, I've just had the fright of my life, honestly. I'm just walking down here, obviously concentrating. Look.
It's not a mirror, is it? Oh, it's a mirror.
Like looking in the mirror with a little bit more hair.
Fern, we're not anywhere near Dover Castle. And Isabella says, is that a stables where you are?
I think it was.
And Denise has put peasants. So.
Right, I'm now going to cross over the road to one of the other very haunted buildings here with a great history.
Okay.
I'm trying not to stand in the road, sorry. This road's all around this. Can you see that?
Yeah.
What's anyone pick up about that place?
I'm not sure yet, but we've... Oh, God, don't say that.
It smells lovely.
Julie says cruelty. No idea why I'm getting that. And so I'm just going through all of these, everything that everyone's saying, because we've got so much now. It's the money they cost that scares me about my kids. Oh, yeah. Okay. I know that
The
feeling.
Carty's an interesting one from Julie. From Julie. From Julie. Because cruelty would have a good connection to where you just were.
Yep.
And the main reason that drove us there, that'd be good.
Yeah.
I think we're still on people there. People are giving us what from there at the minute. Summoned for wrongdoings. So I'm trying to read through them pretty quick. Loads being shouted at me about a fire that destroyed a vast area. That's Diane. I'm getting... Oh, it's just disappeared again. Isabella says, I'm getting towers and bears, but not sure. Diane's got a deer. Oh dear. Isabella's got... Oh, Diane's got workhouse. She's put workhouse.
Yeah, I think that's relevant here.
And very, very heavy head pressure going on. So... And Ant says, did a member of I Royalty stay in that building? I feel maybe a prince or something.
That's going to have to be one for Danny in the intermission in a minute when I change locations, I think.
Okay. Diane's got still a connection with an author as well. Jill's mentioned I feel children, orphanage, but also official buildings. Beth says fire at the stables, horses were inside. Dee's mentioned place where you didn't want to get called to. It's like you went and didn't come back.
Pause there a
Julie,
second. Who just mentioned about author?
Diane's mentioned an author. Connections
There,
to
there,
with an author.
there is an author that was a notable author for this location.
Wow, that's really good.
Well done, Di.
Amazing.
Absolutely. Julie says there's a male and female both in eye authority. Laura says random but an elephant.
Very good. Very
Good on you, Laura.
Right, and that's it at the moment. So I've got through
That's really good.
everything there. So can you confirm anything there then, Dan?
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's definitely some stuff we can confirm. It's difficult in some ways to confirm some stuff because I don't want to give away. You remember that second week I done this and I gave away the location at about
Yeah.
25 minutes and we spent 30 minutes after that like twiddling our thumbs.
Yeah.
So I'll wait for a moment. So some of the names that we've been mentioning are really relevant. Cottages is really relevant for this location. And not just like it's easy to say there's cottages everywhere, but there's a significant number of listed buildings that are cottages in this location. So that would definitely be there. We had the animals. We had the elephants and all that stuff that's been coming out. There's some good connections there. The white
Dee's
horse,
mentioned
obviously,
circus.
Andy showed right at the beginning. There are some fires. I'm trying to find some significant fires and see if there's anything that's like really notable for this location. What else have I got?
Did someone say circus?
Yeah, Dee's mentioned circus. And
He's
also
mentioned
Kay.
circus.
And Kay John has just said, I feel sick, short of breath, as in drowning. And she mentioned circus as well.
Very good.
Some of the other things we mentioned. So we mentioned tombs, and at this location, within a particular conservation area, there are a number of tombs that are listed for there as well.
Okay.
We talked a little bit about there being some kind of cult or collection of people that came together in this location. And there's definitely some references way back when, on particular days that festivals and cults would come together at this location. So that was really brilliant there as
Amy.
well.
Amy,
Yes,
can you
Andy.
take me out? Can you take me out for a couple of minutes so I can get to the other location while you're doing the verifying stuff?
Okay, no worries, you've gone. There.
Good on him. We had George, the name George was mentioned. Without giving too much away again, there's the connection to George and where Andy is right now as well. There's just so much that is coming through.
Well, I've got so much more as well. Like Karen's mentioned slave trading, and Laura wants to know, are you near Cobtree Zoo? Isabella says, who is Bertie? That name just came to me. Right, so, and also Laura's, I was getting Dumbo, so that's probably the elephant and that lot. And Diane mentions Arthur Conan Doyle, which is interesting. Ants mentioned Edward.
Oh, okay. Bertie is significant.
Julie's
Good on you.
mentioned cemetery close by. And Laura says white face clown. Are you okay?
Sorry. You went down the wrong hole.
I'm not saying nothing.
Neither am I.
Oh God. Anyway, I mentioned fire 2 of the stables. That was Beth. Isabella says, was somebody hung there? Laura mentioned that she hates clowns. And Diane says weird ad hounds of the Baskervilles, obviously Sherlock Holmes.
Oh.
So, and Julie mentioned monument. Everyone loves my cup as well. Vicky loves my cup. Thanks, Vicky. I love my cup as well. Beth says, I feel there were witches burnt there. Kay put, rich family and exotic animals. Sue, still getting Jacobs. Diane says, don't go there, Danny. Lol. I'm not sure what that means. Karen says, pet cemetery. And Jill says, I feel there's a lady passed with an awful it on the head. She walks the grounds. She has dark hair. So, we've had lots of things come through already. Yeah, you've on, Andy?
Hey, I'm back.
He's back.
So what did we get? What did we get?
We
Some
have
good
got
stuff.
loads.
There's loads of good stuff, mate. Honestly, it's still coming through. Someone just mentioned the name Bertie, and there's a connection to Bertie at your location, which is brilliant. I nearly choked on my drink, which was also caught live on video, so have a watch back of that later.
Yeah, that was quite amusing. Sorry.
We've got some mentioning of was someone hung there. So just having a look through some of that. We said about the cemetery, and there's a cemetery close by as well. Laura sort of Dumbo and the connection to Dumbo, which is where the elephant bit came from.
Okay.
And Diana's just mentioned the gypsies were burned as witches.
Wow, what's that noise?
What noise?
Got a friend.
Maybe don't. Oh. Is it a friendly friend?
It might have been. Did it sound like pots and pans going together?
It did sound like pots and pans.
Yeah, so that's where I am. It's at my secret location.
Ah, okay. looks like sort of Folkestonish, I think.
It is Folkestonish. Would you like to just, I know I don't want to detract away from your live, but we were here a few weeks ago, and we may have saw that, which is sitting right in front of me, which is why I nearly choked, because Steve came and brought it over and put it right in front of me, which made me choke on my drink. It's nice like that, isn't it? Back to you, Andy.
Right. So, interestingly, like I said to you when I first started, I was reading a book about haunted places and everything like that. Where I am, there's like so many ghost stories, and in this churchyard where I am, there's a really interesting one. We'll talk about that in a minute, but I'd be quite interested to see what you guys are picking up in this churchyard. Actually, it's good because quite a few people said about a cemetery, didn't they?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I just happened to be right in one.
Right, we're getting some things already. Right. Isabella says, "Are there stone animals near to you, Andy?"
There are. They are. Very interesting.
And also, hang on. Laura says, "I've got the infamous saying from the Wizard of Oz: lions and tigers and bears. Oh my! In my head, is that any relevance?"
I don't know, Danny.
I would say that, I mean, if you take the literal line, then yeah, there is a connection to each one of those that would be on there. Okay. Where you previously were, not necessarily where you are now, where you've just come from.
Yeah.
Denise says, the author H.G. Wells. And Ant says, sounds far-fetched, but was someone resurrected from that graveyard?
Ooh.
Interesting. We did that synchronised.
I know, it was in stereo.
Very in tune. There's a strange old feeling in this graveyard.
Is it?
I don't normally feel like sort of really uneasy in a graveyard because it's like kind of where we spend lots of time, to be honest with you. But do you feel a bit odd in here?
Interesting. Laura says, I think it's more about the animals. So,
I'm going deeper into this graveyard.
And Ant's mentioned zombies.
Zombies.
Thanks for that. I'm here on my own. Thank you.
Denise has mentioned black cats.
I think that's very relevant for here.
And Isabella says, I'm getting the name John, or a John.
No, they're not.
Hi!
Andy hasn't even realised.
Oh, isn't Andy
No.
realised?
No, I haven't got my glasses on.
I haven't got any glasses on.
Hello, Trudy. How are you?
I found I've been out on the buggies today on the golf course.
Did you? I
At
haven't been
Cardiac
out.
Hill.
I want to come out later.
Ruth mentioned black dogs. Sue
Trudy
Ellis
said she's
Brown has
going live at 9.
Woohoo! Hang on, they've gone past me again.
Not if we overrun.
Yeah. Sue mentioned grave for Emily, but no headstone.
Oh,
Right, that's interesting. I've never realised this graveyard was this big. Look at the size of it.
I know, it's huge.
Andy, just to check, you're in the second place that you sent me, right?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, cool, good.
Kay's mentioned getting the name Mary. Chloe's mentioned the name Alice. And Sarah says, I feel really uncomfortable for Andy in the graveyard. Be careful.
Yeah, be careful.
It does feel odd.
Yeah, it's definitely got to change there, mate.
Beth says, Beth says, was a lady murdered in the churchyard and then buried in the grounds?
I don't know. That would have to be one for Danny.
Karen says, I'm getting Charlie. Ooh, lots of people have come by again. Right.
It sounds like there's lots of breakages there.
Yeah.
Steve needs a new team.
Diane's just said, on the Ovilus we got witches, crawl, lisp, voice. Julie's mentioned the surname Randall. So Randall, Randall.
I'm half expecting to bump into a gravestone with that written on it, to be honest with you, and Emily.
Yeah. Jill's mentioned, is there a famous person buried there?
I don't know. Do you know what? I don't know, actually. I mean, I think quite a lot of well-known people have kind of frequented this and sort of been in this place, well, not this particular place, but this village.
Dee says, Andy, go steady. Things will be there to trip you up that you may not see.
I've just almost walked into a bench.
What's on the bench? Go on, tell us. There's got to be something on it.
Do you know what? We've almost tripped over the only bench in the graveyard that's not got a name or a plaque on it.
Wow.
Is it not?
No, not a thing. That's really unusual.
Ant's mentioned, if not resurrected, was somebody buried alive, getting Elizabeth as well.
Oh my goodness. Right. I'm just like Elizabeth, right? So where I am, I'm not going to try and get too close because obviously it's not the right thing to be treading over people's graves. See that? Elizabeth. Oh,
Wow.
Elizabeth. Well done, Em.
Karen's mentioned the watercress woman.
Ooh.
Ah, she's a Pluckley ghost.
Okay.
But
what was that?
It's a shutter.
Oh, right. Laura mentioned the name of Richard. Dee's mentioned child burials. Diane's mentioned a drowning.
Let's have a look and see what we can find. Charles Dickens is interesting because around the area, like the general area, there are some Charles Dickens connections. I can't see necessarily specifically where Andy is, but definitely from some places that aren't too far away. That connection is there as well.
Okay. Isabella says, keep getting the names. Not sure if it's John, Bertie, or Bertie Dyke. And Dee's put Bertie was a nickname for this author.
Oh, okay, interesting.
So there is some significance with the bit Bertie, which I've got ready to reveal all when I can.
Hang on. Right, Laura's mentioned cholera caused a lot of deaths there.
Oh, let's have a look.
Isabella says, I'm getting a lion.
A fox has just come running past me, so mini little lion.
Karen says, is Pinnock Bridge relevant?
No, that's Pluckley. That's Pluckley, Pinnock Bridge.
Okay, so we're nowhere near Pluckery. Nowhere near Pluckley.
15 miles, I think.
Yeah. Diane says, George is getting Charles Dickens. Karen's mentioned burning at the stake. Shell's mentioned the name Mary. Shell's mentioned royalty as well, and Isabella says, or maybe it's the name John Dyke.
Okay.
And Denise says sightings of black cats are seen in the area, seen in the daytime.
Yeah.
Isabella says, sorry,
there's a lot of big cat sightings around here.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Andy is like the Pied Piper tonight, with all these animals coming to him.
Do you know what? It's really strange. A fox has literally just really just brushed past the back of my legs. A dog come wandering past a minute ago. So it is.
We'll have to call you Dr. Doolittle.
Yeah.
I don't even do that much.
Right. Sue says Prince Albert and Emily have a secret connection. Ants think going on about duck ponds nearby. Or ducking ponds, should I say. And there's a lady looking for her baby, and that was from Laura. Diane's mentioned that her girls are getting water connections, and Chloe's mentioned a ducking pool as well.
I think that could be very possible here, actually.
The ducking pool, yeah.
And is the Pied Piper.
Let me just see if this is. Okay.
And who is Thomas as well?
Amy, can you just take me out for a minute?
Okay, no worries. Give me a thumbs up when you want to come back in.
Ooh, very mysterious.
Who is Thomas? Isabella says. Shell wants to know, is there a woodland nearby? Sarah says, Sarah says, I know it's a graveyard, but it doesn't feel calm. It's full of, and then I got TR, and I don't know what it means.
That's, I guess, the end of the word. It's full of traps. It's full of tractors. I just want to go back to the. There's a lady looking for her baby.
Yes.
It's an old story, so this person may not be around now, but there are some stories which are relevant to the location. around unmarried mothers who had to give up their babies, and
Yeah.
kind of recollect those stories of giving up those babies or being forced to marry. So yeah, that's a good one there.
That's great. We've got the stocks. Laura says, I feel that a lot of dead buried there died very young. Also, Dee's put Susan and King George. And Ants mentioned something about, I feel there was a small battle or something between witchcraft and the church. Oh, he's giving me the thumbs up.
We got him back.
Yeah, sorry. Do you know what? I just really overcome very heavy. I just had to sit down literally just for a minute, and I felt so sick. This is
Are you okay?
Yeah. It's really strange feeling in this graveyard. Really,
Wow.
really, it's kind of oppressive.
Wow.
Sorry about that, everyone.
No, that's fine. As long as you're okay now, that's the main thing.
Yeah. No, I'm all right.
I told you I should have come with you.
Yeah, you should have done, mate. You really should have done. It's so strange, this graveyard.
Yeah.
Really strange. I mean, I know a graveyard is like kind of a sad place, but it feels really sort of heavy with, I know it's ridiculous, but sorrow. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It feels, I mean, sometimes when you go to a graveyard, they feel really peaceful and quite a nice place to be. This really don't. This really feels horrible.
Wow.
There's lots of people that have been picking up on that as well and just saying that it doesn't
absolutely.
feel like that it's how you'd expect a graveyard to feel as well. There's lots of people picking up on kind of not just sorrow, but it feels a bit strange, a bit eerie.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely.
I feel, I feel awful. I feel really, really under the influence of this where I am. It's really strange.
Someone's just mentioned that they've hang on, where are they? Ellen's mentioned that she's getting a strong feeling of a Navy connection. No. And also, Karen says nuns at an orphanage, but not good.
Okay.
Dee says, Andy, stick to open ground, please. She doesn't like the trees.
Okay.
And the anxiety is around Andy. It's very strong. And that's Jill.
It's getting weirder in here. It generally is getting weirder.
Absolutely. Diane says, that's exactly what we said. It's like the gypsies were killed for being seen as witches by the Church of England, as us gypsies were Catholics. Ant's mentioned people hanged in the trees. And also, Julie says, I'm getting horses with blinkers on. Shell's mentioned poisoning.
Poisoning. That's interesting.
Caitlin says, are you in Edcorn?
No, I'm not in Headcombe. I kind of wish I was at the moment.
Yeah. Kate said, I feel lots of negative things happen there. A rape, murder, sacrifice, etc. Ricky feels that there's something following you. Laura says, all died too young, feeling sadness. And Sarah says that
there are lots of the youngs come up quite a lot, Andy. I wonder if a lot of those graves are young.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of kind of those, like in graveyards, you get those little tiny like gravestones, like the really sort of miniature ones. There's a lot of those. I mean, this is a real funny old graveyard with a mixture of like headstones. Some is sort of quite modern by the looks of it, mixed in, but a lot of it is like kind of really, really old. I mean, this is a funny little one with a little sort of a cherub on it, and there's quite a lot of these sort of kind of old wooden crosses.
Oh, wow.
See, that's 1941 to 1945. So that's a young one.
That's a child,
years, aren't they?
Yeah, that's So that might have. I mean, that could have been. I mean, if he was 4, that could have been the bombing like someone got earlier.
Yeah.
Possibly. 'Cause
Absolutely.
we're right in the area for that.
Sarah's mentioned that the graveyard is feeling a bit suffocating.
It feels exactly like that. I feel really kind of like I feel really, really under the influence of this place. I feel quite breathless. I'm pretty fit, to be honest with you, and I'm sort of kind of struggling. Don't like it.
Mason
It is.
is coming to mind as well, says Isabella. Chloe has mentioned there's a male energy following Andy closely. I feel religious links with this man.
Okay.
And Diane says the number 4 is also important.
Okay. Who are you? Who are you? If you're here, give me a push. K2 is going crazy.
Ow,
Yeah.
banged my knee. I just banged my knee.
Push me. Do something.
Isabella mentions child, the war and soldiers.
K2 is going mental.
A lot of people are mentioning evacuees were sent there as well.
I think it would have probably been evacuees went from here.
Okay, yeah.
Can you see this K2?
Absolutely, it's going mental.
Wow.
Georgia is saying be very careful as it's a negative energy.
I don't need telling, Georgia.
You don't need telling twice anyway.
You're lucky I'm not like giving Linford Christie a run for his money at this minute in time. You're lucky I'm staying. Oh man, how much longer have we got to go? This is horrible.
Oh, this is
Not
not.
long,
We've got
to be
9.
fair.
Not long at all. Ollie's mentioned. Just got the name Terry.
Terry.
And Judy says, I'm getting I was someone. Don't forget me.
Okay.
Laura's mentioned the name Sasha.
Sasha.
Yeah, and Michelle wants to know, is there a German connection?
Do you know what? I think there is.
I reckon there probably is, yeah.
I think there is.
Let me have a look.
K2 is still going mental.
Sorry, I spelled Sasha wrong.
And Isabella says, and man is in that churchyard cemetery, I think.
Right, Sasha is relevant. It's on this stone. I don't know if you can make it out. I can just about make it out here. Sasha.
Okay.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well done. Really well done.
That's brilliant.
They're getting too good, aren't they?
Yeah.
They are. We're going to have to spice it up a little bit.
Yeah. Dee's mentioned Edelweiss. Sorry, can't spell it.
I mean, I can't spell it either, D, so...
What? Why do you feel that? That's a flower, isn't it?
No, it's a song as well.
Okay.
If you
yes.
think, is it a Sound of Music or something? Like, I don't know. Something to do with Germany and that. Diane's
Something to do
mentioned
with
good night.
Germany.
Yeah, good night, Mr. Tom. So that goes with like the war thing, doesn't it? So
Did someone come up with the name Albert earlier?
I think someone mentioned something about an Albert. I think it was Prince Albert or something like that. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. They've got a bench here with in loving memory of Albert.
Okay.
Bless his soul.
Isabella says, who is John Dyke? I think he is in that graveyard.
So, John Dyke, I did a bit of searching on John Dyke. And where's it gone? Because it's disappeared. I don't know if he's in that graveyard or not. I can't see that connection, but probably about 5 minutes from where Andy is. As we're getting close here now, anyway, there's a connection to John Dyke and a relevance. So I'm sure that.
Ellen's mentioned Angela Green, 1937.
Oh,
That is really specific.
Right, shall we kind of wrap it up a little bit now so we can, because we've got a lot of information to get through.
Yeah, let me just quickly
Let's
do
do
this. Let me quickly do the ghost story about in this church. Okay.
Okay.
So there's a ghost story. So I don't know if you can see, right at the top of that church building, there's some gargoyles. Can you see them? There's one on each corner. Can you see them? Like pointing
Barely,
Yeah,
but yes.
Yeah. So
yeah.
at a certain day of the year, at midnight, those gargoyles are said to jump down and run round the churchyard when the clock strikes midnight.
Wow.
But what's really interesting about that story, there's no clock on this church, so you can't believe it. Previously, I've been in here and I've like played this story. Okay, so what I've done is I've called out to these gargoyles, believe it or not, as I'm having a weak moment, believe it or not, and I said, "Come and jump down." And on the Ovilus that I was using, it come up straight away with the word cannot.
Cannot.
So it's pretty interesting. So no, that's good. What have we got then?
Over to you,
So
Mr.
do you
Dan.
want to share the 3 locations you were in, and then I'll do all of the confirmation stuff.
Yeah, of course. So the first location, I was on Bearsted Green, which is just outside Maidstone. So the story that got my interest about this was that there was a sighting of a phantom clown, kind of where I was standing to start with. And someone actually took a photograph from that window that I showed you, and it did show like kind of a phantom clown. Now, it's kind of a strange one because there are stories saying that it's kind of make-believe and everything like that, because it was a marketing stunt by the local circus that's just come into town. This is what the flyer was through my door. The circus is in town at the moment, so this is why I wanted to do it. But there is a story about a clown, which I'll get Danny just to re-verify in a minute. Okay, so that's the first location. The second part that I did was by the cricket pavilion, which has got kind of a very haunted past, and that's more to do with stables. Behind that was the pub called the Oak on the Green, and that used to be, I think, a courthouse with holding cells in it, which you guys were straight on, which was really, really good. So, of course, when we had the intermission, I drove up to this. This church is called Holy Cross, and I say the ghost story about that is about the gargoyles. But that churchyard there is one of the strangest places I've ever been in. And as you can imagine, I've been to a few strange places. Very, very odd indeed.
Wow. Over to you, Dan.
I mean, we've been confirming a load of stuff as we're going through, and I know we've only got 2 or 3 minutes left, but one of the things that we talked about was the name Bertie, which kept coming out. Bertie, in many ways, shapes or forms. Richard Bertie was an English landowner, a religious and evangelical. His paternal grandfather, Robert Bertie, died in the 1500s, estimated 1501, 1502, and was a stonemason of Bearsted in Kent, which is where Andy is. So for those that got Bertie quite early on, that was really great, and I've been dying to share that story all the way through. There are a list of notable people that are connected, and we've had a few different ones as well. So we talked about the author, Baroness Orksey, author of Scarlet Pimpernel, who was from Bearsted and grew up there. Jenny Agata, who is an actress, she briefly lived in that village as well.
Jenny Agata. Jenny Agata.
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh yeah, called the
a few different actors, comedians, lots of cricketers. So lots of relevance just there. We also talked about where was it? I mean, some of my tabs are closed and I've opened and reopened. We talked about cholera. Is it cholera? Is that how you pronounce it? Cholera, yeah. But there was an outbreak in Bearsted as well. That was one of the key towns within Kent, which was carried from ship from London to Gravesend and then ended up spreading across Kent as well. But Bearsted is one of the named towns that was impacted from. John Dyke, a few people had mentioned. Now it's connected to Pennenden Heath, which obviously Andy, you know, is about 5-10 minutes away from you. It's not too far at all. But that was the story of 3 men who were hanged at Pennenden Heath for barn fire. And John Dyke is the connection around those as well. So we talked a lot about fire. We talked a lot about big fire. We talked a lot about hangings. So that story has a good connection to it there. We obviously got lots of animals connected to the circus. We talked about cruelty. The circus back in the day would have been what was suggested as cruelty to animals because of the way it was mentioned. Lions and tigers and bears. Lions and tigers at the circus in Bearsted. So that's where that connection was quite good as well from Laura, I think it was earlier. So we've had loads of great stuff come all the way through. And it's really nice because we didn't have loads of guesses of locations. So all of this stuff is just coming out from what we're sensing. So, yeah, great job this evening. You've kept me on my toes.
Absolutely. I just want to say thank you to Andy and Dan for the for helping out and that lot. And also, don't forget, Trudy Psychic saying Psycho. Trudy Psychic Tarot Kent is on next, straight after.
Okay, look, there you go. Here she comes.
Brilliant. So, Trudy Psychic Tarot Kent, not Psycho.
Some would argue.
Right, that's on next. So, again,
Did anyone see the little thing bounce off his head? Did anyone get that? It bounced straight off his head.
So when you saw me trying to contain my laughter when Andy was in the middle of being attacked by whoever, that's why I was laughing. I tried. Brilliant. I tried to keep it, but
he did really well professionally.
It just came at me. Folks, thank you so much. What an amazing show.
Yeah,
thank you, really everybody.
Amy, tell them what's happening next week.
Yes, I am out on location.
Ooh.
So, yeah, and it's not at the Haunted Antiques this time, even though I want to do another one there. But I am out at a secret location, and Andy is in charge of the computer.
Uh-oh.
It's going to go wrong, isn't it?
Wish us luck.
Yeah, absolutely. So, see you all next week, everybody, and take care.
Thank you.
Bye. 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 Bye.